We are watching again that Lindsay Clancy trial. This is the Massachusetts mother accused of murdering her children. That's her mother-in-law leaving the stand right now. And I want to bring in our Peter Haralambous, who's been following this case closely for us. Peter, we just heard from Lindsay Clancy's mother-in-law, former mother-in-law. She's the grandmother to these children that were killed. And no one's debating whether or not Lindsay killed the kids. The question is, was she of sound mind when she did? Her mother-in-law's just laid out this picture of the whole family being concerned for Lindsay's well-being, Lindsay reaching out for help, being put on all these medications that she thought was doing her harm, and ultimately being rejected for care in some cases. How do you see the defense weaving all of this in to their goal here, which is to raise reasonable doubt that Lindsay actually was able to control her actions at that time?
Yeah, I mean, this testimony and also the testimony we saw yesterday from her mother herself really build into this defense narrative that we've been hearing from day one of this trial. It feels like this weaves in really nicely for defense lawyers in terms of demonstrating to the jury that Lindsay Clancy was sincere about seeking help, that she reached out to family. Her former mother-in-law was a labor and delivery nurse. She reached out asking for a referral effectively. And because of that, she was connected with this program where she did actually seek help, pushing back on this defense suggestion that she wasn't necessarily, this prosecution suggestion, excuse me, that she wasn't serious about seeking help for her mental illness.
Shauna, I want to pull on the fact that not only is Lindsay Clancy a labor and delivery nurse, her mother-in-law, who we just heard from, is also a labor and delivery nurse. These were two women who worked with pregnant women all the time. How much does that impact the strength of Lindsay's mother-in-law's testimony today?
It is going to strengthen her testimony, Diane, because what we know is that not only did she know her in a personal sense, but she also had a profession that put her intimately acquainted with women who would be experiencing postpartum. So when she says that Lindsay was struggling, that's going to carry a lot more impact because she had knowledge on both sides, not just professionally, but also personally. So that's going to really help the defense and buoy this idea that she was suffering and that this was not an intentional act.
Prosecutors, Shauna, and tell me if you got the same read, seemed to be struggling a little bit, seemed to be kind of fishing for questions and seemed surprised at times at Clancy's mother-in-law's answers. And it seemed like she thought those answers weren't working in the way the prosecutor wanted them to. Do you think the prosecutor gained anything on this cross-examination?
No, this is one of those moments, Diane, where less would have been more. You have a mother-in-law, which is significant because think about her relation. She is the mother-in-law. She's not Lindsay's mother. So if she had any grievances, she would have stated them. So the fact that you go into the questions with her, as the prosecution did, and it shows that what she keeps reiterating is that Lindsay was a caring mother and that she was having these issues and that she was really struggling and trying to find help. That ends up backfiring in front of a jury because this witness testified sincerely. She didn't fight the prosecutor. And she really honed in on the fact that she felt that Lindsay was struggling and that the amount of medication that she was being given was just too much. And so not only is she saying that from a professional standpoint, but the jury also takes that into consideration because she has, as we mentioned, she is a labor and delivery nurse. So she has professional experience that would back that opinion.
And Shauna, you kind of pulled on the next thread I wanted to touch on, which is her family role here. Lindsay's husband, the father, or former husband, the father of these children, was called by the prosecution, but ultimately is defending his ex-wife here, saying he thought that she was not well. Now you have her mother-in-law on the stand, defending her against the charges that she murdered her children, this woman's grandchildren. What do you make of that in terms of impact for a jury when they see these people who I think most would expect to be on the prosecution side of this showing up in court to defend her?
When you have those type of witnesses that are defending her, the family, the ex-husband, the mother-in-law, her own family, what you have is a mountain of evidence that everyone that was connected to her in a close manner had the same opinion. She was struggling, she was having postpartum depression, and that she was over-medicated. That is the resounding theme from each one of these witnesses. And the best way to find reasonable doubt is to have that type of consistency, because what you're looking to do is make sure that at least one person on that jury says, I don't know. Is it that she was struggling? That is reasonable doubt, and that is what the defense is seeking to find, is that this was not an intentional act and that this was caused by the postpartum psychosis that they are alleging she was experiencing.
All right, Peter, Shauna, thank you both.